If you're feeling stuck, this video will change your life. It doesn't matter if you're stuck earning a minimum wage at your 9 to 5, or if you're stuck earning $1 million a year when your target and your goal is $10 million a year. It doesn't matter if you're stuck in your marriage or if you're stuck in your fitness goals. It doesn't matter, because once you understand the principles that I'm going to teach you, you'll hold the key in your hand to get unstuck and get to the next level. And this isn't some theory. It's the exact formula I used to get unstuck when I was so desperate for change in my own life. I didn't know what to do. I tried everything that I knew, and it wasn't enough. I tried working extra hours. I was working 70, sometimes even 80 hours a week, and it wasn't moving the needle. I tried starting additional businesses on top of my extra hours. That didn't move the needle. But I was not seeing my family. I wasn't seeing my kids, and that bothered me. That was something I hated. But I just kept saying, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. But something crazy happened. Nothing changed. Very incremental change happened. I was barely moving the needle, barely getting ahead. I was doing everything I knew to do, but it wasn't enough. And that's one of the worst feelings in the world, is when you're doing all that you can do and it's not enough. It all came to a culmination when I was in the driveway of my house, and my oldest daughter, who was 3 years old at the time, looked up at me in the eyes and she said, "Daddy, do you live here?" And I just thought she was joking. Then I just had this shock of terror come over me that she wasn't kidding. And I looked at her and tears started welling up in my eyes, because I realized when I'd leave in the morning, she was still asleep. And sometimes I'd come home so late that she was already put to bed, and she was questioning if I lived there. So I made a decision right there that I was going to do anything necessary to figure out how to get real change in my life. And here's the thing, I didn't even know how, but I knew I was going to get the answer. And that's a lesson for another day. But that's how I discovered the framework I'm going to teach you in this video of how to get unstuck. There are 3 points we're going to cover that are going to get you unstuck and on your way to lasting change. Number one, the first thing that you need to understand is that we think in pictures. So what do I mean by that? When I say, tell me about your car, I can bet that a picture of your car flashed on the screen of your mind. You could tell me the color of the exterior of the car. You could tell me what the color of the interior is, what the seats feel like, what it smells like. The reason this is so important to understand is that we move towards the images that we hold in our mind, both positive or negative. So you really have to become consciously aware of what images you're holding, because they're actually steering the course of your life. Steve Harvey said, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. We always move toward the dominating images that we hold in front of us. The second thing you need to understand is that we interpret the world with our 5 physical senses. You guys know what they are: smell, taste, touch, hear, and see. This is how we navigate in this 3-dimensional world, and we use these senses to get feedback on what we determine is the facts in our life. So we use our eyes and we look at our bank accounts and we say, that's a fact of how much money I have. Then we look at ourselves in the mirror and we say, that's a fact of how much I weigh. And we look at our marriage and we say, that's a fact of how healthy our marriage is. Now I want you to really listen to this, because this is the reason that you're stuck. God created our 5 physical senses, and they're great, they're wonderful, but they are not your highest faculties. In fact, you were created in the image and likeness of God, the Bible says. What does that mean? Well, God is the creator. So if we're made in his image and likeness, that means we are creators. We are creative beings. We are goal-striving beings. It was put in us to become better than we currently are. If we don't like an outcome that's in our life, a quote-unquote fact, we can change it. But if you don't know the formula and you don't know how you were created, you get stuck in a loop. So what are these higher faculties that make you created in the image of God? One of the most powerful ones is your imagination. Your ability to see something in the unseen in your mind before it's ever created outside of your mind. I hope you guys are getting this. The ability to reason, to look at a thought and say, do I accept this thought or not? That's a God-like ability. Animals don't have that ability. You can take a thought captive and say, does this thought serve me? Do I want this to become true in my life? No, I don't. Okay, I cast you down. You can accept or reject any thought that comes your way. Your conscious mind has the ability to reason. Your 5 physical senses all relate and deal with the physical world. And the way that you create something new is from the invisible. It's from the unseen. It's from within. Everything that you see around you right now, whether you're driving in your car or sitting at a table or sitting in a chair, it all started in someone's mind. It was an idea in someone's mind before it ever became a physical reality in this world. The same is true for your life. Every possibility that you have for your life, to be abundant, to have more money than you know what to do with, to have a physically fit and healthy body, to have a robust and happy marriage, to travel the world, all of that is possible, and it's all locked up inside of you. And it's up to you to push the right buttons and pull the right strings to create that outcome in your life. You see, what we call facts, oh, I look at my bank account, that's a fact. It's really an outcome. Everything is cause and effect. It's not a fact, it's an effect. And you're experiencing these effects, and you can change what you experience based on what you think, based on using your imagination, based on using these godlike faculties from the unseen that produce the seen. Everything that is visible was created from the invisible. Think about it. Now, you're not going to hear me say the word manifestation, but all manifestation is creation. It's taking something from the unseen and making it present in the physical world. That is creation. I'd much rather use the word creation because manifestation has some weird stigmas attached to it, even though it's not weird. In Hebrews chapter 11, it says the world was called into existence by God's word. What we see was created by what we don't see. So how you get stuck is living strictly in the visible world, only dealing with your 5 physical senses. Now I'm going to show you a diagram of why you're stuck. And I call this the stuck loop. Let me break it down for you because this is why you're stuck. The reason is that you're starting with your results. So you look at your bank account and you say, okay, I could probably get that amount of money or maybe a little bit more. You look at yourself in the mirror and you say, okay, this is how much I weigh. So I could probably stay at this weight or maybe I could make a very small incremental gain. And so that's exactly what you get. So you're using the result. The result, what you could also say is the past. Because remember, everything is cause and effect. So what you're currently experiencing right now is a result of something maybe 1,000 days ago, right? It's a lagging indicator. It's a result from something that you did many days ago. So you're using the past to create the future. And what it's going to do is create more of the past. So you start with the result, you put your eyes on your bank account. That's going to generate thoughts. Those thoughts are going to say, okay, that's what my bank account says. That's how much money I have. So maybe I could make a little bit more than that. Or maybe I'll stay right at the same. So I can expect that much money. So that creates your thoughts. That's going to make you feel something. You're going to feel, oh man, okay, that's just where I'm at. I don't know why. Things never change. No matter how hard I work, things never change. So it creates this feeling inside of you. Then you take actions based on those feelings, and those actions produce more of the same result. So this is what I call the stuck loop. And this stuck loop occurs when the results are the starting point. So you're operating in your 5 physical senses. You're operating from the past because the results are the starting point and results are the past. You guys getting this? Is this getting clear inside of you? Again, to reiterate, everything that you see in the visible was created from the invisible. Albert Einstein said we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. And that's exactly what I was doing when I was trying to change my life. I was trying to work harder from the exact person that I was instead of becoming a new person. And this is what happens when you create a vision of something way outside of your comfort zone that stretches you, that you cannot solve as the person that you are. It causes you to become a new person. And as you become that new person, you get that new result that you're after by default. That's the secret that nobody tells you. Goals aren't for getting things. They're for becoming someone new. So here's the $1 million question. How do we break the loop and how do we get unstuck? That's what you're going to learn in this video. So we talked about why you're stuck. Because you're using the past to predict the future. So if you studied this at any great detail, you might have come across a framework that looks like this, where you start with thoughts, those thoughts create feelings, those feelings create actions, and then you end up with results. So now we've flipped it to where results are the very last thing, right? They're not the starting point. And this is really good, and you can get results this way. But here's my problem with this model, is that 95% of what you do every day is done from a subconscious level. What that means is we're basically sleepwalking through life. You're going through your day and it's all being done subconsciously. All the decisions you make, all the choices that you make, you're not even sure why you're making them. You're not thinking on purpose, but you have to be thinking on purpose to really make a change in your life. And we're going to cover that later on in the video when we talk about self-image and self-identity. But most of us are like this guy here, just like a zombie going through life. You know the sensation of when you get in the car to go to your 9-to-5 job, and then you leave your house and then you end up in the parking lot at your job and you think to yourself, how did I even get here? Because your subconscious mind took over. Most of us are living our days that way. And that's what I want to disrupt for you right now. I want to wake you up and shake you out of that by teaching you how to think on purpose and how to get unstuck. So if that framework is good, but it's not the best, what is the best? And what actually creates thoughts? What's the genesis of thought? That's a question that I asked. And it is your programming. Your programming exists at a subconscious level. It was installed in you from a young age, and it was not done on purpose. It was done by your parents, where you grew up, the environment that you were in, the people that you were around, the news, the media, the books you read, the movies you watched. It all poured into you and formed your programming, what you believe is possible. Your programming is a belief structure that you believe is the truth of your life, and it shapes the possibility of your life. When you're relying on default thinking, you're going back and dipping into this past programming and making decisions based on that. Your brain is trying to be efficient by doing this, but it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you to grow and to expand and to reach new heights and to become better. Okay, well, what creates your programming then? And that is inputs. And this is the secret, you guys. It's inputs. You need to take a close look at what you're putting your eyes on, what you're letting in your ears. What kind of data and experiences are you letting into your conscious mind that is getting into your subconscious mind and creating new programming and becoming hyper intentional about those inputs that are coming in through your eyes, through your ears, through the environment that you keep, through the friendships that you have, because that is how you reprogram yourself and you think new thoughts that will deliver new results in your life. The results that you've been after that you couldn't get before because you were trying to get it from the person that you used to be. See, I was trying everything I could to change my life from the outside. I was working harder. I was giving more time, using more of my muscle, more of my energy, using the physical to change the physical, which is actually the lowest form of creation. Remember, the Bible laid it out for us. Everything that is visible was created from the invisible. So when you try to change the visible with the visible, that's when it feels hard. That's when barely anything moves. You're trying to change something from the state they created it. Einstein said that's impossible. You have to become a new person. You see, I found that it wasn't so much what I was doing, it was who I was being while I was doing it. It was who was doing the thing, not the thing that I was doing. And I think in the information age that we live in, one of the biggest problems we have is you can learn any tactic and any skill that you want to. So you can get overloaded on the tactics and the skills. But anyone who's successful will tell you mindset is 95% and skill and tactics are 5%. The reason is that any of those things will work. Any of those tactics will work. If you do Amazon dropshipping, if you start your own e-commerce company, if you sell houses or flip vacant land or sell print on demand, it doesn't matter. What matters is who's doing it, from what mindset are they doing it from? Because mindset is more important than strategy and tactic. Yet everybody is searching for the tips and the tactics and the hacks instead of putting all their attention and focus going inside to become a new person that has a new mental model that is capable of a higher output, a higher form of leverage, that is using their imagination, their ability to reason, to create a new image of what they want in their life and to actually bring that from the invisible into the visible. In Romans 12:2, it says, don't be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now, another translation says, be ye transformed by changing the way you think. Wow, isn't that crazy? Be ye transformed into a new person. By what? By changing the way you think. The way you think creates new results in your life. So instead of trying to change it from the outside, you got to go inside. You got to get out of the stuck loop. And here's a bonus that you can implement and employ in your life. Do an evaluation and listen to your words. Is the majority of what you say every day based on what you see with your physical eyes? Or is it based on what you see in your mind's eyes? Because when people only speak about what they see with their physical eye, so they say what they have instead of what they want, I call that the language of the stuck. The language of the stuck is when you go around saying what you have instead of saying what you want. The Bible says that from the fruit of a man's mouth he enjoys good. It also says the power of life and death are in the tongue. You need to speak the language of the successful, not the language of the stuck. Now here's something that's going to blow your mind. When God created the world in Genesis, it says the earth was formless and void and that darkness was hovering over the deep. But God didn't say what he saw. He said what he wanted to create. And he said, light be, and light was. He gave us the blueprint. He gave us the model. You don't say what you see, you say what you want. If you guys like this and you want to know more about this, I break everything down in great detail in my course, Rich Mind, Rich Life. It's a playbook for the mind. Like if somebody handed you a rule book and said, hey, here's how you were created by God. Now that you know how you were created, now you can take that and use it to create the life of your dreams. You get a free 14-day trial, no questions asked. If you don't like it, you don't have to pay anything. But I know you'll love it because I put every resource at your fingertips to create real change in your life, to step into who you were created to be. So again, I'll have that linked in the video description below. And the third and perhaps the most important thing we're going to cover in this video is your self-image, because you will never outperform your self-image. It sets the boundaries of what is possible for your life. So it's possible to escape your current results and get better results for a time period and then go back and revert back to where you were. You probably experienced this if you were trying to lose weight. Maybe you did good on a diet for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and boom, you ended up right back where you were. It's because you never changed your identity. You never changed your self-image, which is your belief structure that's governing everything that's possible in your life. But creating a new self-image and then feeding inputs that support and build a support structure, a belief structure around that self-image is how you're going to build real, lasting change. This is the same reason that 95% of lottery winners are broke again within 5 years of winning the lottery. It's because they got the money and they got the result without ever having to become the person who gets that result. So they're operating, like Einstein said, from the same frame of mind that had them stuck before. and they reverted back to that frame of mind, even though someone handed them a bunch of money that elevated them out of that result, like a magnet, like a thermostat returning back to the set point, boom, they're right back where they started. So I urge you to take the time to change your self-image if you want real lasting change. So I've given you the formula. I've shown you why you're stuck. I've given you the formula. You now hold the key. Every possibility for your life is in your hand right now. It's not outside of you. It's actually inside of you. And if you take this and you work this strategy, you will get unstuck and you will get the breakthrough that you so desperately seek. And that is how you get unstuck and you create new results in your life. My heart is to help as many people as I possibly can live the life of their dreams, step into their calling, to wake up and become the best version of themselves. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video and hit the bell icon so you can be notified every time I drop a video like this one. You guys are amazing. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.